G'day everyone, Goober here with another Torchlight Infinite Season SS8 video. In this video, I'll be covering off on Boom Moto for a league start type scenario. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, this is definitely not league start. This is obviously the end of Season SS7, as SS8 isn't out yet. However, with the addition of the change to Fuel War with War, Boom Moto gets a free activation medium built into their kit, which is often key for Boom Moto to do well and preventing it from being a decent league starter in previous seasons. Now, this is the type of gameplay that you can expect once you hit level 75 in the campaign. And what I'll go through during this video is how you can get to this point in the game really quite easily, and hopefully with this guide you can have a better league start than previous seasons. So let's get into the talents. So the talent points that I will be using on league start will be God of Machines, Machinist, and Warlock. God of Machines will just go through and get the minion damage, minion attack and cast speed. You can go with the critical strike damage here, or you can just go with flat minion damage. I will probably go towards flat minion damage and transition into crit strike damage when we get to the mapping stage. But for the campaign, I would recommend just going with flat damage. Then over here you go with minion damage and minion skill levels. Over here, command is extremely useful because it gives you 3% additional damage per point of command and a bigger tracking area. Tracking area means that the minions will go and attack enemies in a larger radius. So you go with all of the command there, and then on to movement speed and regens life. Over here we have orders with minion damage and additional summon skill cast speed. That means when you explode your minions, it's summoning them back to the map faster. And Mighty Guard for command and minion skill levels. Spirit growth doesn't do anything for us. Onto Machinist, we have all of the minion damage as we go through and attack and cast speed. Minion max life for the explodes. Command again, which is really useful. We have some minion points up here. I think they are changing next season. And more synthetic troop stuff. We have the +1 synthetic troop minions summoned at one time. That takes you from summoning one at a time to two, and 20% additional minion damage. We have burning aggression here for command every 2 seconds when you're near a boss. Just makes you explode the bosses a bit faster. Onto Warlock, more minion damage. You can go with max life and regain if you like here, or you can just go for skill cost or pretty much anything here to get you over to this node here, which is additional minion damage. Onto cooldown recovery speed, and then at this point, this is only the talent points up to level 75 where you unlock the free perpetual motion, and you have 2 more minion damage nodes here. You would obviously keep going for the +1 all skills. However, this is where we will stop in this guide. You don't need any slates to get to level 75. It is quite simple. However, when you do start getting slates, just go for command as it is flat additional damage. You want +1 skill levels wherever you can get it, and minion max life, minion crit strike damage, that sort of thing. But slates aren't too important. They are very important, but not really for low level maps. Once you get into 7, 7.2, that sort of things, then you want to start focusing on getting decent slates. And if you're using cube as your farming strategy, then you'll be able to focus on that quite nicely. Focus Strike is a nice one to get on a pedigree early, as your minions will be charging to the enemy and exploding, so the additional damage is always applied, which is really nice. Next up, we'll go over the skills that you'll use through the campaign. I use Summon Machine Guard because I like how they go to the enemy and punch and do a area attack, and kill all the nearby enemies. You don't really need Servant Life early on. You can go with something like, where is it? Steamroll is really, really strong early. Additional melee damage. And then you just want Hardened. Hardened is changed next season to always apply Hardened. Although it's saying it right now, but I don't know why that was changed. Maybe it's based on level. So you'll always have Hardened, minus 25% additional damage taken. I often put that in the first slot, just so I have less damage taken throughout the entire campaign. Mechanical modification, as long as you have 3 minions, this will halve down to 2. And servant damage. I've just left the wind rhythm in there to simulate the free fuel war with war. As you're going through the campaign, you'll have blink until you get to the level 33 treasure trove, where the reward will almost always give you interlocking souls. Interlocking souls are the hammer that give you minion damage, minion max life. Duration doesn't do anything for charge moto, but it consumes 5% max life when you use summon skills. This is 10% if you're using 2. Most of the campaign you'll be picking up wands and stuff that give plus minion damage. However, when you get there, you definitely want to switch to interlocking soul, and that's when you'll transition from using blink to using leap attack. Leap attack can only be used with hammers and stuff. You can't use it with wands, so that's when you switch over to that. And to counter the degen from your interlocking souls, you want to get regen and summon Frost Magus. At this point, you are killing bosses very quickly, so you don't need the additional damage. I've just put in, excuse me, weapon amplification here. However, in the actual season, you'll be using the new auras, which the main one will be Cruelty. When activated, you and allies gain within a certain area, yeah, whatever, you and your allies gain a buff. Who cares about the area, because it says you both gain the buff. Additional attack damage, gain 1 stack when defeating enemies, 5 stacks when hitting elites or bosses. And each stack grants 2.5% aura effect up to 40 stacks, which is 100%. And if that's aura effect for everything, then you're going to be regenning like a boss, and you'll have 38% attack damage, which is really quite nice. So it's 1 stack when defeating enemies, or 5 stacks when hitting elites or bosses. Just keep that in mind so you don't rip yourself off. This one's also quite nice. Minion aggressiveness and minion damage. You'll just have this one. You won't have the precise. But yeah, so that's quite nice. Oh, long day. So I've just put this in here because no doubt it will cost 50% as well. And you'll be able to run both of these quite easily. Other skills that you'll be using, as I said, blink attack or leap. Once you get leap, you can also put in the quick mobility, attack and cast speed, and cooldown recovery speed is quite nice. Dark Gate, I use this as you're running through the campaign. I only use the hero trait to kill bosses. If you're running past an elite, just pop Dark Gate. It'll teleport the minions on top of the elite, kill it, and then you can keep going on, and you don't have to resummon your minions. And those ones there. You can always use Machine Army or something in here as well. And it doesn't really matter about the soul candles. What else do we have to cover? One thing to note with the new free perpetual motion, it does come with minus 30% movement speed. However, if you are using the hammers, just remember that minus 30% movement speed does not affect leap attack at all. So if you're automatically casting your minions, you don't have to worry about stopping to cast. You don't have to run at all. You're just leaping through the map. So this minus 30% movement speed actually doesn't affect you at all. You are just gaining the benefit for that. And if this is a hero trait, it has levels. So that can potentially get much lower than 0.2 seconds if you get your hero memories up far enough. But that is a level 75, so you'll have to do some low level maps until you get there. As you're going through the campaign, unfortunately you don't get preparation until level 55. So before you get that, I would strongly recommend just going with Mass Effect. It gives you an increased effect for the status provided by the skill per charge when you use the skill, or you can go with Well Fought Battle. Up to you, really. Doesn't really matter what you use there. These ones are pretty pointless. So Mass Effect or Well Fought Battle, maybe cooldown reduction, but as I said before, I only do it on bosses. I don't really bother popping the hero trait on elites and stuff because your minions will be doing enough damage to counter that anyway. So I've covered off on talents, I've covered off on slates, covered off on skills, gear. Once you get to mapping and you can start saving up for gear, Machine Lord is very, very strong and it works with Warden's Breastpin. Minions cannot deal physical damage. This says adds physical damage to as fire, cold, and lightning. It's not adding 0%, it just converts it anyway, so there's no worry there. Warden's Breastpin is very expensive if you go your minions cannot deal physical damage, but early on you can just go a Fiend Crown. Once you get Machine Lord, you probably want a cannot deal physical damage Wardens, but that can get very pricey. Winter of Origin is for later on when you can stack Focus Blessing stacks. Early on, you just want to get as much command, minion max life, minion damage, and make sure you're capping your resistances. Adds physical damage to minions is incredibly important as well. Anywhere that you can get adds physical damage to minions, you want to get that on your gear, as it really boosts their damage a lot. One thing to note with next season, you may want to get, if the Dream Talking still exists, you might want to get minus 50% erosion damage taken on there and get the Dream Talking so you don't take erosion damage. Then that's one less resistance that you have to worry about on your gear. Stats are always very important, but that's more of a day 2, day 3 worry. And I definitely think getting a good memory of progress for the +3 trait skill level will be extremely important, as it will potentially lower the cooldown of the 0.2 seconds summon speed. So yeah, I think that's covering everything for the build guide. Once you get to maps and stuff, you can just check out the hero ranking to see what other people are doing. If you don't have any high level Boom Motos on your server, you can always come over to Asia, and that is where my character will be. And hopefully I haven't rage quit, but yeah, here we go. Good example. The top damage Boom Moto on this server is just stacking as much command as possible. I'm pretty sure this is... he's on my Discord. Sorry, I can't think of your name right now. But yeah. Very cool stuff. Anyway, that's what I've got for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.